Good morning, everyone. This is Erin O'Keefe with the Park City Chamber Bureau. I'm here with Sharon Starika this morning, and we're in for a real treat. She is going to be speaking to us today about posture in the workplace and how it can kind of improve your everyday activities. But before we get started, I just want to give you a quick background on Sharon. She is a runner and a triathlete with over 20 years of competitive racing experience. Her involvement with the certified Feldenkrais method of somatic education began in 1984 when she had a debilitating cycling accident resulting in 9 surgeries. Her doctor said she would never compete again and probably would not be able to run. Using this method, she not only recovered and returned to competition, but she also improved her marathon time by an astonishing 20 minutes. And as a result of this experience, Sharon has become a guide and a Feldenkrais practitioner, and began to develop her own theory and ideas about optimizing fitness. And Sharon also has a private practice in Park City here. She teaches classes and has a clinic does clinics around the country. She also offers instructional online workshops. So let's go ahead and welcome Sharon, and let's see what she has for us today.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Sharon Starika, and as Erin expressed, I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, and I also call myself a movement educator. And so in addition to all the sports and activities she presented, the method encompasses every aspect of your life, and today we're here to talk about finding a better posture in your workplace. So for many of us, sitting is a part of our workplace, whether to be at an office or in a meeting or even in your car. It ends up being a very big part of your day. And you may be sitting in a way that's causing you significant pain, discomfort, and or leading to other problems. In addition to pain or discomfort, fatigue can become a huge issue for the way you are sitting. So if you're experiencing any of these issues, this is the webinar for you. Not only will you learn how to sit in a more correct posture, you will immediately begin to feel better and have more energy so that you can do the activities outside of your work environment that you love to do. And I think that's the most important thing about this method, is it brings about a well-being for you and your life so that you can enjoy the lifestyle that you love to have. So let's go ahead and get started. There we go. Okay, so we're going to begin here with the element of dynamic sitting and what I'm going to call using your skeletal support. Your skeleton is designed to support your body and hold it up. When properly aligned, your bones can withstand more pressure than steel. Poor sitting prevents your skeleton from providing efficient structural support. If your muscles and tendons are doing all the work to hold you up, they develop tension, overuse, and strain, leading to discomfort and even chronic pain. So let's take a look. Your pelvis. In this diagram, there's 2 pictures, one of sitting with pelvic support, and the other is sitting without pelvic support. So your pelvis is the base of your skeleton, and it is the key to successful sitting. So looking at the picture of sitting with pelvic support, your pelvis is aligned directly in alignment with your spine. So if you look at the very bottom that's sitting close to the chair, that area is what we call your sit bones, and that is what you need to be sitting on so that your pelvis is correctly aligned. Looking at the adjacent picture, sitting without pelvic support, you can see that the pelvis is kind of curled under. And this is when we're kind of sitting in a sloppy way in our chair, and there's no support. So without structural support of your pelvis, pressure and strain is placed on the muscles and ligaments and spinal discs. The other important aspect about sitting with pelvic support is your weight is then distributed evenly, not only over to your two sit bones, but up through your entire spine. Once sitting correctly on your sit bones, your back becomes relaxed and is flexible, which allows you to bend, turn, and move with ease. Here we're going to watch a video about some of the ways that you might be sitting for yourself at your office. And if you observe, there's a huge space between my pelvis and the back of the chair, and my buttocks, my pelvis, is very tucked under. We end up doing a lot of leaning then. So now I'm sitting with my pelvis all the way back in the chair so that I have complete support with the backrest. And as you notice, I've scooted myself closer in to the desk so that I'm within range of the keyboard and viewing my monitor. When I go to reach, if you notice, again, I'm moving from my trunk and my pelvis, and I have that ability now because I'm sitting on my sit bones. I'm no longer rounded. My ability to turn and twist and move with ease is very available. This is key to functioning well in your work environment. Let's go over some chair and seat tips, the ergonomic tips. First of all, buy an ergonomic chair that has adjustable seat height, tilt, and armrest. These are very important and they must be adjustable. Next is that you make sure your seat height is high enough so that your legs and knees are parallel to your hips or slightly lower. You never want your knees to be higher than your hips. Make sure once you're on your seat to find your sit bones and be sitting on them, just like we saw in the video. The other thing that I forgot to mention is to make sure your feet are on the floor to avoid crossing your ankles, crossing your knees, or placing your feet up onto the chair. This is a very common thing for people to place their feet up on the roller part of their chairs. It's better to sit with your legs slightly spread apart than crossed. This allows you to sit more evenly into your sit bones with your pelvis and have spinal support. Make sure that the armrests are low enough so that your forearm is parallel to the armrest and your shoulders remain relaxed. If the armrests are too high, often it will push the shoulder up and create tension in your neck and shoulder. When using the mouse or keypad, allow your wrist to be relaxed and use your whole arm freely to move the mouse around, not just your wrist. Using the telephone. Refrain from holding a phone to your ear for any length of time. This will cause a lot of strain and discomfort in your neck. If you are on the phone often or for long periods of time, it is best to wear a headset or use a speaker system. This also allows you to be free with your arms to take notes or perhaps write notes on your computer by using a speaker system or a headset. If you only have a phone option, alternate and use the other ear occasionally. Your work surface. If your work surface is too high, your neck and shoulders and arms and hands will become strained. First and foremost will be your neck and shoulders. If your work surface is too low, your back will become rounded, and again, you will lose the support of your pelvis. So it's really important for your work surface to be a correct height. Your work surface and your chair height are critical for you to have the optimal posture needed for a healthy spine. Taking breaks. Taking short breaks, it reduces muscular tension and stress. It allows for more consistent, good sitting posture. And it allows for greater creativity and work production. So really about every 20 to 30 minutes is a good estimated amount of time to then take a break. And I think most importantly is to be able to have this good sitting posture. Spending too long in any one place tends to lead you to lose that good sitting posture. So make sure you just get up, walk around the room, go get some more water, find a way to take a nice break, and bring yourself back to sitting in your good posture. The computer workstations. Select an ergonomic chair, well suited for your comfort, support, and posture, desk, and computer setup. Then you also want to sit fairly close to your surface work. And I demonstrated this in the video. When you position the computer directly in front of you, allow between 14 and 25 inches distance from your eyes for your visual acuity. So this is really important for each person to find that appropriate distance for yourself. The height of the keyboard should permit your arms to slope downward slightly. So often people have their keyboards directly on the desk surface, and that could be angled up too high. If that's your situation, you can add in below your desk a slider that would slide out where you can lower the keyboard down. What's important is that the distance from your elbow down to your wrist is sloping downward. This will prevent from any carpal tunnel, wrist injuries or problems, or elbow. Documents are placed best either in front of you on the work surface or on adjacent vertical stand next to your monitor. And as far as your computer, I highly recommend that your computer is placed directly in front of you. That way it allows you to sit correctly on your sit bones. Exercise and or rest your hands and fingers if you feel any strain. So if you're feeling any strain with the hand that uses the mouse or both hands using the keyboard, that's a good time to take a break. You can do circles with your hands, clench your fists, spread your fingers together and open them apart. Do some movements like that to give them a rest. Again, proper posture will make you feel good so you can work more efficiently and effectively in your workplace. Here's some tips for also driving in the car. It seems like today we spend a lot of time driving in the car, and that is part of our workday when we're having to travel to another destination to meet with people. So how you're sitting in your car is as critical as sitting at your office desk. So first and foremost, once you get into your car, once you are sitting, you're going to lean forward, and you want to scoot your sit bones all the way back into the back of the seat. And this picture isn't super clear because it's got a lower back support in the picture to show if you need that, then that's something that you can add in. If you don't feel you need the lower back support, again, just lean forward and scoot your sit bones all the way to the back of the seat. Once you do this, you want to allow your back to touch the backrest of the seat. If the backrest is tilted too far back, you may need to adjust it to come up a little bit. You certainly don't want your backrest, though, to be completely parallel and pushing you forward. So you want to be slightly leaning back. From here, you're probably going to have to adjust the seat. Very often, if we're in that slopey sitting position, the right leg then has to reach too far forward to reach the gas pedal. And what this does is it automatically tilts your pelvis, so the right side of your pelvis is reaching forward and the left is back. This is a really common situation that will create any kind of lower back, disc issues, and also if you get any referred pain down your right leg, most likely this is what you're doing. So again, once you sit into the car seat and scoot your sit bones all the way back, adjust your car seat so that your knees are comfortably bent. And when you go to move for the gas pedal or the brake, the movement should be coming from your ankle and not reaching from your leg. Avoid leaning your elbows on anything in the car, and this is another big one. Most often, if you've been leaning at your office, you're probably leaning in your car, leaning on the console, leaning onto the door side. So any kind of leaning, again, gets you off your sit bones, and you lose your immediate support. It can also start to create any kind of neck or shoulder tension. So really try to avoid any type of leaning, find those sit bones, and then when you have your hands on the steering wheel, you really want to have your hands fairly relaxed. So often I see people really gripping with their fingers the steering wheel, which is creating tension all the way up to their neck and shoulders. So it's something to learn is how to hold the steering wheel, but in a loose manner, because you are moving the steering wheel underneath your hands to make turns and things like that. Lastly is to, again, have frequent breaks if you're going to do a road trip or any long distance driving for your work. Again, sitting too long in the car in time, you will eventually return to some of your poor habits of sitting sloppy, perhaps reaching the right leg forward, leaning, so your spine gets collapsed and you'll start to feel fatigued quite soon. Plus, you'll start to develop some kind of pain or discomfort. So if you take a break, just get out, walk around, use the restroom, fill up for some gasoline, you get back in the car and you start fresh again. So those are my driving tips for driving in the car. For additional information about myself and about the weekly classes that I provide, the online classes, articles that I write, or for a private session, you can visit me at SharonStarika.com. But right now, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have from this webinar today.
Thanks, Sharon. That was very informative and wonderful. So let's open it up for questions. On the right-hand side of your monitor, you should see like a toolbox. Please feel free to enter in any questions that you might have from Sharon's presentation. We'll give a few minutes for that.
So we have only 9 people listening.
All right. I don't see any questions at this time. We'll give a few more minutes. Like Sharon said, she's very well knowledgeable in this type of movement, and she's always open for questions in the future. And you can reach her at SharonStarika.com. I see a question here. So the question is, Sharon, can you give some input on sleeping and pillows?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Sleeping's a very big issue. So, you know, one of the biggest issues is actually your shoulders in sleeping. So if you're going to be sleeping on your side. So we have 3 possibilities for sleeping. We can be on our sides, our back, or our stomach. It is best to have a pillow that is, in a way, adjustable. So what I mean by that is either down pillow or synthetic, and it should really be designed to best suit you if you're on your back. So that's often thinner than you think. If you get too thick of a pillow for the side, then when you go on your back, it's like pushing your head forward, and that can cause issues during the night. Sometimes what really does need to have happen is you either might need two pillows, or why I like a fairly soft pillow is if you're a person that needs a bigger support when you're on your side, you can fold your pillow sometimes in half. So you've got that thinner pillow when you're on your back so that your head isn't pushed up and forward. But if you do roll onto your side, you can often just fold it up. The other nice idea that you can do is use a towel. Towels are super handy because sometimes when you roll to your side, you just need a little extra support. So if you had a towel just lying there in the bed, it could be shoved under your pillow as you roll to your side. When you're on your side, you want your shoulder as much as possible right underneath you. And this is often what causes the problem in sleeping is people have their shoulder too far forward, so you're almost kind of rolling to your back, or the shoulder's too far behind you in a way, so you're rolling forward. So you really want your shoulder underneath you, and then your head should be lifted appropriately so that it is just stacked above your shoulder. Hopefully that makes sense to you and answers the question.
So our next question that we have, I typically drive with my wallet in my back pocket and wonder if it can cause long-term issues.
Wow, that's another great question. Absolutely. So that's a super great question. And even sitting at your work, it would create problems. So I would really recommend to take out your wallet and, kind of create a routine for you, like find a place, whether it's in the console or some kind of routine where every time you get in the car, you take your wallet out, put it there, and the console, I think, is a good place, and then remind yourself it's there, maybe even send yourself a reminder on your cell phone so you remember. And the same thing in your work environment, maybe put it right on your desk in front of you, but absolutely, it creates a discomfort, so you probably tilt your pelvis to one side because of the wallet. So great question.
All right. I don't see any other questions there. So, and you're more than welcome to ask questions about other items as well. It doesn't have to be related to sitting, I guess, like we had the bed question.
Yeah, if you have any questions, like if you have any concerns with your wrists or your arms, working with the computer or your neck or anything that's not sitting related, that's fine too.
Oh, here we go. So here's another question. What suggestions do you have for those of us who stand for work?
Another great question. You guys are asking great questions. So yes, I have a couple clients that I see privately that actually stand. So first and foremost, very much like sitting, you need to have a very good stand working surface, and you need to make sure that your computer, or if you're reading, whatever, you're standing at an appropriate height, which is kind of like your chest level. So again, you want your arms to, in a way, be sloping down if you're working on a computer or reading. The other thing with standing is that you want to stand on both feet. So just think of like the sit bones. You want to have both feet standing. The most common problem with people that stand, like if they work at banks or department stores, is they'll shift their weight onto one leg and their hip jets out to the side. And over time, this will develop a chronic hip issue. So really try to be even on your feet, so you're standing on both feet. And if you need to, you can just shift your pelvis left and right while you're standing to create movement. But you really want to avoid being completely weight-bearing on one side so that you've got this lateral shift in your pelvis and hip, which also collapses your spine.
So the next question we have here is, how do you feel about sitting on an exer ball at work versus at a desk chair?
An exercise ball is absolutely appropriate. It very much creates you to immediately find your sit bones. And it kind of forces you, you can't lean back because you'll slip off the ball. So as long as it is blown up to the right height so that you can spread your legs appropriately, your feet can be contacted on the floor, and that you can feel like you can move freely so that you can reach your arms forward and stuff like that, it's a great option. In fact, when I was living in California, I worked with a judge, and the chairs were so uncomfortable that we took an exercise ball to be in the courtroom. So it was really fun, but it's what worked for her because she had to be on a laptop, and it just, there were no chairs that were doable. So the exercise ball is a great option.
All right, so our next question is, what advice to audiences do you have that might be attending like a seminar, want them to, and you want them to stay like attentive to the person speaking, and what kind of chairs at such events are often not the best?
Oh, great question. Well, you know, see, this is the thing. You can't really choose the chairs, can you? Because you got to go with what the environment presents, and that's why I like to teach people how they need to be in their body. So often when you're in that kind of situation, speaking events, it's the folding chairs, and they can be that hard metal. Sometimes they've got cloth on the seats, but they can be pretty uncomfortable. So again, what I would instruct people to do is from the beginning is to teach them what I just taught you, is how to lean forward, scoot their bottom all the way back. And actually what makes it super comfortable is to spread your legs to the outside of the seat. And once you're in that position, you can sit in a folding chair forever. So instead of trying to keep your legs in front, you make your legs wider than the chair with your pelvis all the way to the back. And then the other option is to give people permission that they can stand up at any time. And then again, if they go to standing, have them stand on both legs, tell them they can shift their weight from side to side in their pelvis, but always to be on both legs. So I think it's really key to keep people attentive is that you give them the option that they can move. And I think the last thing with that question is I like to get people up and moving. Most frequently when I'm doing presentations, I don't want people to sit in their chairs very long. So I get them up and to participate with something that I'm doing. And I think that's a really good thing. So maybe work in getting up to stand up and introduce themselves to somebody next to them, or go to the row behind them, get them moving and come back, and that creates a freshness for them to stay more present and alive.
All right, that looks like all the questions we have for right now. Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us today. I've noticed there's quite a few things that I need to change in my desk environment to be, I guess, healthier in the workplace. And it was a pleasure having you today, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This has been really a pleasure for those of you that tuned in today. And I think we still have another minute here. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, thank you again so much for tuning in. And feel free to visit my website, again, SharonStarika.com, or you certainly can send me an email and be in touch with me that way. That's Sharon at SharonStarika.com as well.
There's a question if people can get a copy of the slides. When you registered, I should have everybody's emails, and I'd be more than happy to forward the presentation on to everyone so you all can have a copy.
Okay, so thank you again so much for tuning in today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day out there.
Yeah, get out there and enjoy the fall leaves. So thank you, everyone, and have a good day. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.